how to face the fear of judgment, how to respond when you are judged by others, how to stop self-judging. We're going to dive into this in today's Soul Sovereignty and Sexuality podcast with myself, Jessica Falcon, international soul embodiment guide and relationship expert, because this has come up a lot. It came up in the sacred sensuality retreat that I co-led in June. It came up in a couple of the sacred body wisdom workshops that I've been teaching around the East Coast. And it's also something that has come up within myself over the past 16 years of healing the witch wound, of owning my power, of coming into my sovereignty. Because we live in a society that is constantly telling us who we should be and how we should act. And we've inherited these really prescribed roles, particularly in relationships, but in general, as to what we should be doing, how we should be living our lives, how we should be acting, how we should be showing up, what we should be wearing, what we should look like. It's something that you have to break free of in order to reclaim your sovereignty. And I have other episodes on what sovereignty is, so feel free to go back and listen to those episodes if you want more in-depth description as to what sovereignty is. But for those of you who are listening for the first time, to be sovereign is to sit on one's own throne, to be your own authority, which is to know yourself deeply, and is to learn how to source love and safety, belonging, worth, value from within. You are sourcing from the divine being that you are. And this world tells us to source externally, to get the approval, to earn the worth, to prove you are worthy to others, to show how good you are. This could be through productivity. How productive have you been? What have you accomplished today, right? Have you ever get that question? How much have you done today? How much have you checked off your to-do list? And, oh, my worth is based on this. How good I am is based on this. Or basically having to find security or safety externally, which can show up in not leaving a job that you hate, for example, because you feel like there's no other way, quote, that you could have money, which is giving power to the money, not harnessing the power inside of you. All of these are topics I could talk about a long time. These are just examples of ways that we are adhering to societal expectations and roles and demands by seeking externally what can only truly be found inside of you. This work, of course, is not about convincing the conscious mind, though the conscious mind, the one listening to this, consciously aware of the words I'm speaking, needs to be on board. We don't get rid of the ego, we align the ego to the soul's truth. However, it's your subconscious mind, it's your soul, it's your energy fields that really is the one that needs to make this shift. So whenever I do these podcasts, be sure to subscribe if you don't already, or you can sign up to receive them weekly into your inbox. Put the link below for that. You'll receive a free gift when you do so. Is to activate your soul remembrance. So when I'm speaking these words, there's more than just the words. There's a frequency, there's a vibration. The soul is remembering. And there's also your subconscious hearing the words and feeling the energy of the possibility of something new, something different. I've heard from a few people lately who really want to shift out of an old paradigm, and yet they're not willing to invest fully in the new shift without confirmation that something is going to, quote, happen through the mind. And it doesn't work that way. You have to be willing to invest in what you desire rather than staying invested in what you already know if you want to make a paradigm shift. And that includes around facing judgment, because The fear of judgment is very strong in a lot of people. It can prohibit you from speaking your truth. It can affect your ability to have boundaries, to say no. It can affect your sexuality, your relationship with your body. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I have observed within myself and clients from around the world, regardless of what culture that they were raised in or what religion they ascribe to, is that many women who experience a very deep fear of judgment, it's often because they have been persecuted. And this applies to men too. This really does apply to men too, because they've met and worked with men who also have this deep fear of judgment that is based on past life persecution. But there's this past life persecution that created a miasma, an energetic imprint in the field that has been repeating itself ever since of it's not safe to speak my truth, which you'll get an episode on soon, likely next week, that it's unsafe to be me, that it's unsafe to be seen, right? Very deep wounds. They're often very unconscious. For example, you end up in relationships over and over again in which you're not seen. Say you're with somebody who maybe has narcissistic traits. Maybe you're with somebody who just cannot see you, doesn't have the capacity to love you. Those can be symptoms of subconsciously afraid of being seen. So when it comes to the judgment, it's not even like your mind agrees, right? You can be like, well, I know this is okay for me to be this way or do this thing or say this thing. But there is a bodily fear. There's a deep unconscious hiding, curling and contraction that you can only get to when you go into the body and you start to touch these emotions. What I do, whether I work with people one-on-one or work with people during retreats, which I do have one coming up in Greece. This is the last week to register, by the way. So if you're interested in sacred feminine power and a deep, deep initiation into sacred feminine power, then there are just a couple of spots left. We're really close to filling up. So go ahead and grab your seat this week, power..Sovereignty.com, if that calls to you. Or if it's in the Sacred Body Wisdom workshops or online series that I have, whenever you're in my field, even on this podcast, the biggest thing is that we are working with the body. We are working with the body as the energy of the soul. We are working with the body as energy in order to shift states quickly. We can only do so much with the mind, the conscious mind. Your subconscious mind is ruling 95% of your behavior. That is, until you start to make the subconscious, which you access through the body, conscious. This is shadow work, basically. I did an episode on what shadow work is and how to do it maybe a week or two ago. So check that episode out if you haven't already. And when we go into the subconscious, what we're also accessing are these energies from past, present lives. We're accessing trauma. We're accessing stored and suppressed emotions. And these energies, these imprints, this karma comes with emotions because the emotions are energy and motion. And if you're not willing to develop the capacity to observe these emotions and to acknowledge their presence and move through them, through the emotion, then you can think consciously all day long that you're not afraid of judgment, but you're still going to be contracting and hiding and silencing your truth out of fear of judgment. If your body does not feel safe because it's holding on to the fear of the persecution from the past life, as an example, you're still not going to feel safe if you haven't met that emotion of deep rage and grief at being silenced, or your tongue being cut out, or your throat being cut off, or all of these things that really did happen for the past several thousand years and are stored in the energy body until they are met and seen and acknowledged. This doesn't mean you have to go into the story or know all the details or all of the things. It's not about hashing it out over and over again. It's not about identifying with it. It's not about attaching to it. It's not about any of that. It's about you holding space for what's inside of you, for your soul's journey to come to your awareness so that you can align more deeply with your soul's truth. That's it. That's it. Now, that's a big thing, but that's it. It's about you aligning more and more to the true you, to your soul's truth. The judgment, the fear of the judgment, the self-judgment, is all based on the external. It's all based on what other people think. It's all based on what other people have said you should be doing or should be wearing or how you should be looking. It's all based on the beliefs that the people saying that have inherited from other people. It's all based on fear. Judgment is based on fear. Judgment is also based on condemnation, based on fear, based on a belief that some are worthy, some are not. Based on the ignorance of the divine within all people, all things. Now, there is a massive difference between judgment that is discerning and judgment that is condemning. So often I see in the spiritual community that a lot of people are afraid of being judgmental, but they're not being discerning, which is to judge, because judgment has two different definitions, which is to judge that something is or is out of alignment for you, or is out of alignment of divine love. You can judge that as being out of alignment without condemning the person or yourself. And that's where we need the judgment of discernment in order to be sovereign. What I'm talking about today is the judgment that is condemning, the judgment that casts out of love, the judgment that wants to punish and make wrong and make bad. And when you are fearing judgment, what you're fearing are the opinions of other people having power over you. When you're judging or fearing, I'm going to say this again. When you're fearing the judgment of another, you're fearing that their opinion is going to have power over you because you haven't yet claimed your power back from that judgment. You haven't yet accepted that part of yourself. Feel that? Ooh, I feel that goes so deep in you guys. Ooh, it goes deep. It goes down to the root. All right. You haven't yet claimed your power back. You haven't yet claimed your power back from that judgment. You haven't yet accepted that part of yourself. Breathe into that. Because what that means is that you get to do that. You get to breathe into that part of you that you've been judging. You get to breathe life into that part of you that others judge. You get to accept you when others don't. You have that power. You have to bring your power back from the belief, and you have to bring your power back from the other person. You have to bring your power back from the parts of you that want to judge you, because you don't fear the judgment of another if you're not judging yourself. This is about you learning how to source from within, which I guide my clients to do. So if you want support in this, because often it's hard to do this on your own, then I have a divine activation portal, and I'll put the link below. And the Sacred Body Wisdom series is also a really good way to do this. You have to turn your attention inward and start to source from within. You have to start to anchor into your soul truth and literally dissolve anything that is not your soul's truth with the power of your own light, with the power of your own truth. You have that power inside of you. And so the way to release the fear of judgment of others, the way to stop judging yourself, the way to be who you are, even though you know others are judging you, is to go within and touch these places of you with your breath, with your awareness, with your heart, and accept them. And then align them to your soul's truth. We don't just accept, like, oh, I made a mistake, so that's okay. Like, I made a mistake, I correct it. So you go in, you don't just say, oh, this part of me is out of alignment and that's okay because I'm lovable anyway. That's not really being self-responsible. That's not really being in your power. It's being more apathetic. It's essentially not taking self-responsibility. You go in and you say, okay, so this is not my truth. So what is my truth? And how do I align this to my soul's truth? That's the inner work. You hold yourself accountable. You hold yourself responsible. That's sovereignty. And your soul just wants you to be in your truth. So you can radiate more and more of who you are out into the world. So I'm going to start to wrap up, reminding you that the Sacred Body Wisdom and a private divine activation portal are available if you want support with this, because this really runs deep. And when I've worked with clients on the fear of judgment, a lot does involve touching these energetic imprints from past and present lives and rewiring the system, because we're like computers, right? We have all these thoughts and all these beliefs, and we have to reprogram them because we've been programmed for so long. So we're reprogramming the energetic field to higher frequencies, higher vibrations, and beliefs that are in alignment with your soul truth. That's what we get to do together when you say yes to this journey. And the more you can open your heart and expand your frequency to that of divine love, and then move that into you, which is one of the practices of the Sacred Body Wisdom online series, the more you're going to allow these lower base judgments to come up to the surface, to be dissolved, to be transmuted into the light of your truth. So anytime you feel this fear of judgment, you do this inquiry. Where am I judging myself? What am I judging? What am I not accepting about myself? Where am I giving my power away to this other person? Where am I giving my power away to this belief? How can I bring my power back? How can I be in my sovereignty? How can I source this love from within? How can I source this safety from within? How can I source my power from within? Jessica Falcon, The Path to Sovereignty. I'd love for you to share this with anyone who can benefit, because this is such a deep collective wound. It is not yours alone. What I do is I highlight these collective subconscious wounds and beliefs so you can free yourself from them, so you reclaim your sovereignty. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, or sign up on the link below to receive the emails weekly with new podcast episodes. Lots of love. See you next week.